I'd like to congratulate you on taking the first step towards home ownership. It might feel like just a small step, entering in your email address, but it's a big step. Not everybody takes action. First off, I think I should start out with, what the heck's a lease option or rent-to-own anyways? The first part of a rent-to-own, and really one of the big benefits of rent-to-own and lease option, is that the future purchase price of a property is determined today. Let me give you an example. Let's say that we have a piece of property and the value on it today is $160,000. And based on your application, we determine that there are some credit issues that need to be resolved, and of course we need to come up with a down payment, and that we need 3 years to be able to do both those things. Now, of course, over those 3 years, that property has appreciated. This is where the best part of, or one of the big benefits to rent-to-own comes into play, is that we have to determine the future purchase price today. So for purposes of this example, let's say that we determine that the future purchase price of that property is $180,000. Now that property could be worth $190,000, $200,000, $300,000. It's being purchased for $180,000. Not more. So just to run through this again, the value of the piece of property today is $160,000. Over 3 years we're going to come up with a down payment and fixed credit, so we can purchase the property for $180,000 in 3 years, or 36 months from today. The second important detail in a rent-to-own or lease option is, how do we come up with a down payment? Again, for the purpose of this example, we have a property with a value today of $160,000. That's going to be bought in 3 years for $180,000. Now, if we've already resolved any credit issues, of course, the last thing we need to do is come up with a down payment. In this example, we're going to come up with a 10% down payment so that way we can qualify for CMHC financing. So 10% of $180,000 obviously is $18,000. This is what we need to come up with over the 3 years. Now, the best way for this to be described then is probably to break it up over the rent and the own part of the rent-to-own agreement. Under the rent side of the agreement, let's say the rent on that $160,000 property, the property that has a $160,000 value today, is $1,000 a month. I've already done the math on this, so I'm just going to show you how this works. In order to come up with the $18,000, we need to come up with a small amount of money each month, and before moving into the home, a larger chunk of money. So in this example, that's going to look like this. The monthly maintenance on the option is going to be $400. As it turns out, 400 times 36 is roughly $14,000. In this example then, the monthly payment is going to be the $1,000 plus the $400, or $1,400. So to own this home, the monthly payment is not $1,000, not the $400. You've got to add those two together. It's $1,400. The $400 that you pay above the extra rent of $1,000 will be credited back at the end of the rent-to-own in 36 months in the form of a credit that will go towards the down payment of the home. Now, this is all great, but we're still missing $4,000 here, obviously. I mentioned earlier that there's a second component, which is a larger sum of money. The larger sum of money is essentially roughly 3 months of monthly payments, or in this case, 1,400 times 3, roughly $4,000. The $4,000 or the option consideration is paid upfront before moving into the home. So in this overall example, to purchase the home that today is worth $160,000 in 3 years from now for $180,000, we need to come up with an $18,000 down payment. We do that by paying $1,400 per month, crediting back the $400 that's paid above beyond the rent, which will equate to $14,000, and by paying $4,000 to enter into this agreement before we move into the property, for a total of $18,000. Again, all these numbers are preset before going into the agreement, so everything is above board. We know exactly what's going on. The rent doesn't get increased like a typical apartment or home does. The value of the property is maintained at $180,000. It won't go up. So if property values go crazy again, you're not going to see that number skyrocket up to $220,000. It's not based on a future appraisal. It's based on a predetermined value that's determined today. So again, all the numbers are presented before going into an agreement. You can see all aspects of it. Nothing's left up to chance. If there's any further questions, feel free to call or send an email. We'll be quick in responding.